I know a lot of you, my regular viewers in particular, are waiting for the conclusion to my last video, and I promise that is coming down the pipe, but something came across my desk, shipped to me directly from the manufacturer for review that I absolutely had to do, because it's a piece of hardware I've actually been waiting to get my hands on for a long time, and they were gracious enough to provide me with a sample. And that piece of hardware is, of course, a keyboard, because I'm a bit of a peripheral nut, and the keyboard in question is the Drevo Calibur 71 keyboard that is apparently now available in Canada, and I have some things to say about it. Before we actually tilt the camera down and look at the keyboard like I always do during my videos, there are 2 points I need to address beforehand. For starters, it would seem that the people at Drevo were nice enough to send me some of their merch. I got a hat here that they sent me, which is cool. I have no problems with them sending me a hat, but the expectation was that during this review, I would wear it. This is not an advertisement, it's a review. You don't send me your merch with the expectation that I'm going to hawk your product. I can overlook that mistake, really not that big of a deal, but it's not something you should continue in the future, would be my message to the people at Drevo. Number 2, and this is a much more serious concern, and I will still take a look at this keyboard and give you my objective opinion on the product as is, but an issue was brought to my attention that really needs to be addressed before we can proceed. So here are one of the keycaps that is associated with this keyboard. It comes with it. It's actually a beautiful little keycap, and we'll talk more about it when I take a look at the review. But this one is a double-shot ABS plastic keycap, and on their website, and I'll put that up on the screen now, it says that they are PBT. Now, this would be okay if at some point during this product's lifespan they had posted on their website the material for the keycaps had changed. But much like Kingston and the V300 series with their switch from synchronous NAND to asynchronous NAND, and a whole plethora of other companies that have done similar things with their internal components in the past, this is an appreciable difference in the product that was done without the consumer's knowledge and was completely unadvertised. So you're supposed to be getting a PBT cap according to the website, but from what they've told me in email correspondence, these are ABS. Not off to a good start, guys. But now that we got all that awkwardness out of the way, let me tilt the camera down and do what I think I do best and take an objective look at this piece of hardware as it was sent to me and in what presumably is the form that it will come to you in should you choose to buy one. Alright folks, here is the keyboard in all its glory. It's a very nice looking piece of hardware. Let's start by examining the body as a whole. So on the bottom here, if you can see that, whoa, flip it up. Don't press any keys though, that'll stop my recording. We got 2 rubber tippy flippy feet, which is necessary. I think a lot of people like that when you like the elevated keyboard feel typing. But it also has 6 rubber pads on the bottom for those of you who like your keyboards to lie flat in a low profile position. As for the body as a whole, we've got what looks like either an aluminum or a faux aluminum base plate with a floating key design. I can never tell if it's real metal or not, but it looks like powder coated aluminum. Also, no branding on the body at all. I mean, there's branding on the spacebar, a very small Drevo logo, but the rest of it seems pretty clean. Understated is definitely the word I would use to describe this keyboard as a whole. This is the kind of thing that would look very nice, very sleek and elegant with something like a fractal design case sitting right beside it like I've got. This is trying to be the little black dress of keyboards, as where fractal design is the little black dress of cases, and I think it makes for a good pairing. As for the flex of the body, very little. Listen to that creak right there. Not a lot. Pretty solid. Doesn't feel cheap, even though it kind of is. Now, this isn't quite in the same price category as some of the really cheap keyboards I've reviewed, but it is definitely on the less expensive side. It's not up there with those ridiculous Cooler Master or Corsair or Razer monstrosities that cost upwards of $200 fucking dollars. But it doesn't feel cheap, and that's the important thing when you get down towards this 75 Canadian dollar price point. And as I said before, we have a floating key design, which is great because you can just stick the nozzle of an air canister underneath this thing and blow out all the dust, and it is a very hassle-free cleaning experience. So big points there. Moving on from the body to the switches themselves. So let's zoom the camera in a little bit right now, and let's use this trusty wire keycap puller that was included with the keyboard and take a look at one of the switches. They're actually out emu. I love that word. I don't know if they just like really hate emus and are commanding them out Like, get out of the kingdom, emus. Two of every other animal on my arc, but not fucking emus. Get out. Anyhow, speaking of the switches, they are very, very firm and stiff when compared to Cherry MX Browns, Gateron Browns, and Zoro Browns, all of which I have in the house right now. The only drawback with these switches, and it might not necessarily be related to the switches, but it could be related to the body or the combination of the body with these switches, but there's some metallic reverberation that occurs when you press a key down and when you lift the key up. And my microphone cannot pick it up, no matter how hard I try. But it's like totally not even noticeable. If it's the sort of thing that bothers you, don't, it's something you're very aware of, then this keyboard might not necessarily be for you. Moving on to the keycaps. So I've already spoken about the bait and switch these guys pulled in the keycaps. And so here's what currently ships with this keyboard, and it's actually a very nice overall keycap, and I have very few bad things to say about it. So it's only what I like to call, you know, single shot and a half. It's not really a full double shot in the sense that we have come to know it. It is double shot, obviously, you can see that. They have the different colored plastic on the inside that ends up shining through as the legend. But it doesn't go all the way to the edge, and a lot of people don't like that because they like their edges to be reinforced. But what I will say is that grabbing this thing at the sides, there's almost no flex. I'm giving it a pretty good squeeze here, and it ain't budging. And the outer ABS material that they have used in this iteration of the keycap is very strong. On the Super Plus side, they've got that soft touch plastic coating, I guess, or treatment on this keycap. That satiny sort of feel. I did some research trying to figure out exactly what process or material is used in creating this sensation here, and I can't find exactly what it is. I've heard other people refer to it as the shark dick feeling, featured on a lot of pens and other, you know, gaming peripherals and sometimes game controllers. But whatever the case is, whether it be, you know, a vulcanized adamantium or ultraviolet treated plastic or, you know, like Uncle Jizz, it's very nice to touch. So again, a bait and switch bad. Naughty Drevo, don't do that ever again. But I just don't know why you did in this case, because these keycaps, although they are ABS and technically of lower quality than a PBT cap, are great. The one disappointing thing, though, I do have to complain about, and this is a typical complaint of keyboards in this price range, is that once again, as I remove the AE key to show you, we have that, oh, look at me, I'm a gamer font, that it comes on all these keycaps stock, it seems. But this one's a little thinner. The lighting on this keyboard is just downright stupid. We have the solid color modes, and we have 7 colors that this will do. So we have off, and it goes to red, then green, then blue, then chartreuse, and then purple, and cyan, and finally white, which is also just light cyan, because no LED maker, no RGB LED maker, that is, ever does white light properly. Here's the thing. Why the fuck can I only choose 7 colors, none of which are even like orange or like pink? Like there's lots of popular colors here that you've just avoided, and in exchange you've put chartreuse in for some reason. This is like Gatorade. Nobody wants their peripherals to look like Gatorade. No offense to the people at Gatorade, but stay out of my keyboard. You have onboard memory on this keyboard that's remembering all this stuff because there's no associated software. And I totally get that. I'm all for the no software revolution of keyboards. If you can store all this stuff on board, that would be great. But you've taken memory and instead decided to store all kinds of useless lighting modes that nobody ever fucking uses for no goddamn reason. And once again, for the umpteenth time, let's go over them. So here you got your snake and color bullshit, and then you got your fucking wave bullshit that nobody cares about, and then you've got your every time you press a key, colors come out bullshit, and then you've got your every time you press a key, colors go out in a line bullshit, and then you've got your keys stay illuminated of a random color for some period of time kind of bullshit, and then you move on to some other bullshit I haven't even bothered to categorize. This is like another burst sort of bullshit until you get into breathing bullshit, and I think it color cycles too, and then you shut all that bullshit off because nobody is ever going to have that on for any length of time. Bottom line is nobody uses that crap, and I guarantee you 95% of the people watching this video, all they want RGB lighting for is to be able to match it to their other peripherals, you see? The bottom line is the lighting on this shit sucks, and to improve upon it would be very easy and probably a low-cost solution. It would just involve calling the programmers of this particular unit up and saying, "Excuse me, could you not have your thumb up your ass and do your job right?" Anyhow, Just to finish up on the lighting, the lights are top mounted on the switch, which I guess is good because it makes them shine through. As a result, they are sufficiently bright. There's no problems there. And the controls are easy enough, no problem. A couple of other points I want to touch on before we move on to the Bluetooth functionality as the grand finale. I liked this keyboard from the beginning because it was essentially a 60% keyboard with the arrow keys and these 6 keys left on. So it's not like a 10 key list, which also has the F keys included, but rather 60% plus 11, I guess that would be. Is this 11 keys? I'm an idiot. It's actually 10. The downside is that the insert key is so close to the backspace key that I've had a bad habit of hitting one when I mean the other, and the same goes for left arrow and control. There's just not a lot of space between the traditional 60% area and the extra keys at the side here. But on the plus side, over something like the Magic 468, which is a very similar keyboard, it doesn't encroach these arrows onto the 60% area and move the bottom row keys over. So there's a lot less tendency to, at the very least, hit the left arrow when you mean to go for that right control. So there's a little bit of separation, but not enough for it to not be totally annoying. Number 2, the print screen key is gone. Now you'd think when you remove keys off the top, you would repeat their functionality somewhere on the front typeface. I don't know if you guys can see that. Actually, you probably couldn't. So all the F keys have been moved over to the top row here, and they're accordingly marked and so on. And you would think that print screen, which is a very critical key for a lot of people, would have been appropriately moved somewhere, but I don't think it actually exists on this keyboard. So if you want to print screen with this keyboard, as far as I know, you have to go to the on-screen keyboard in Windows to do it, because I'm not sure how else the fuck that would happen. Anyway, let's close the video out with this simple typing test in Bluetooth mode to see how that worked. Okay, here we are in wireless mode. We're paired up. One thing I noticed when I did that, the LEDs actually dim a little bit. It makes sense, I guess, to preserve battery life. Now, how exactly would we test the Bluetooth functionality of this keyboard, I wonder? What would be the best way to do it? Oh, I know. Let's write some lines like we did in primary school. I will not bait and switch my customers. Okay, looks like it's pretty good so far, but I'm a slow typer, and from what I've heard, the polling is an issue here, and the faster you type, the more mistakes will get made. So what I'm going to do is just type all the keys in sequence as fast as I can by running my finger across them and see how many we miss. Ready? Here we go. And looks like from Q to P we missed a grand total of 0. Let's try A to L. Once again, no trouble there, looks like, and Z to M. Pretty good. Okay, so the rumors of this keyboard being terrible in Bluetooth mode don't seem to be replicated here. I don't seem to be having any trouble. And I guess to close it out, we'll just do a general typing test and further test the Bluetooth functionality, and you can be the judge. Here we go. Look, you see this? This is what happens when you bang your head against the desk after doing a review like this. So there you have it. There are my thoughts on this keyboard overall. Now my message to Drevo in order to improve this product and make it pretty fucking awesome. Number 1, ditch Bluetooth. Most gamers, and I have a feeling you're targeting this product at gamers, will connect via a wired connection because we are concerned about things like random dropouts and of course input lag, and both of those can be a problem with a Bluetooth connection. It's gotten to the point where like serious like CSGO players and Dota 2 players will use PS2 keyboards to cut that input lag down even further. Number 2, lighting. All you gotta do is get rid of those stupid lighting modes and use the remaining onboard memory to add a few more colors in. Anywhere from like 30 to 60, just put the whole color wheel in and have just navigable through one key that goes around the whole wheel until the person finds the color they want and they can sit there. Software would be nice, but of course that's a tremendous added cost, and I don't know if it would be justifiable for you guys at this price point, so I'm not even going to mention that. Number 3, don't lie to your customers. If you need to stick with ABS keycaps on cost, that is perfectly fine. Just make sure your literature reflects that. If you can switch back to PBT and it's cost effective and it doesn't affect the price, absolutely do so. But if you need to stick with these, they're actually really good keycaps, so you don't have to feel ashamed. And number 4, put the goddamn print screen function somewhere. If it is here, it does exist, it ain't in the manual, and I can't find it visually. So just take one of the goddamn keys that doesn't have a function assigned to it and put it on. Anyhow, evaluating this product as is here today for 75 Canadian dollars, would I recommend it? Let's put it this way, you can get a full-size keyboard for less money than this, and it will still have RGB lighting, but just minus the Bluetooth, and I think that would be a much better buy for most people. If you're interested in buying this exact form factor, the compactness of it appeals to you and all that, then there's really not much competition. A Magic 468 here in Canada is probably going to cost you a lot more than this, so on that front it wins. Entirely up to you, but I think this is more like a $60 to $65 keyboard. The people at Drevo were supposed to supply me with an offer code or something like that to give you guys a discount, but I haven't heard back from them, and I told them my video would be up as of today, this Saturday, and still no fucking code. But ultimately, here's the thing. I do genuinely believe that Drevo is on the verge of having a winning product in this form factor class. I think they're so close, and that's precisely why I spent so much time giving feedback in this video, because I want them to watch it and be big boys and girls about it. Take this back to the drawing board and make the appropriate changes to make the consumer base happy. But anyway, this video is way too fucking long as it is, so follow me on Twitter at OFA, and I'll see you again next week with far less arm movements and no band-aid.